Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Haitham Taha. I'm professor in Sakhnin College. I'm the head of the graduate studies for learning disabilities and the head of the cognitive lab for learning and reading research in Sakhnin College. Also, I'm a fellow, a researcher in the Brain Research Center, Safra Brain Research Center in the University of Haifa. My presentation today will be about the role of semantic activation during word recognition in Arabic. Mainly different researchers tried to describe the process of reading written words. One of the most cited and acceptable models is the dual root model of Max Coulthard, which was proposed before several decades. According to this model, word recognition and reading written patterns of words was supposed to be a result of one of two roots or processes. According to this model, we use a non-lexical root which depends mainly on phonological decoding while we try or need to read new written words. However, reading familiar words or familiar patterns of written words, those that we exposed to them in the past and were stored in memory, is a result of the lexical processes, all which called the lexical root. Okay. However, different researchers assume that the final stage of word recognition, which begins from the orthography, from the written pattern, it's reaching the semantic level. Accordingly, the process begins with processing the orthographic components to reach the phonology or the phonological level. And after the phonological activation, the reader can reach a semantic level. This assumption was evident in different time course research, such like recording the event-related potentials, the ERPs, which present the processing stages during visual word recognition. Can we see here in this example of EEG recording, we can see a reported result of the time course of visual recognition of written words. We can see here that the aerial stages are reported by ARB components, which are used to describe visual word processing, and therefore the researcher assume here, for example, that the first stages, such like a 100 millisecond post-stimulus presentation, these stages are presents the orthographic processing or the visual processing of the written word. So the ERB components which related to visual processing were measured in time course of written word processing and aerial stages of the processes. In the middle stages, we can find the phonological processing, and in the end, around the 400 millisecond after or post-stimulus presentation, we can see a components which represent the semantic processing. That means that the semantic processes are the last stages of processing and word recognition. But you can see that computational approach postulate that there is an interactive activation between all the stages or all the levels during word recognition. So we can see that it may begin with the orthography, but there is a mutual activation between the phonology and the orthography and the phonology and the semantics. We can reach the semantics in some words directly from the orthography or directly from the phonology. So the pre-existing knowledge about the meaning of words or the meaning of the written words here might accelerate the process of recognition and reading of this word. So the assumption is, if we know the semantics or the meaning of the written word, it may help to reach its reading or its phonology, comparing to words that we are not familiar with their or with its meaning. So it is an example about the continuous supposed activation of the semantic level, which can begin in earlier stages of processing. And it's not the end of the process. With this example, I'm trying to explain the term continuous activation. For example, in the beginning, the reader read act, so he be in the cognitive level, and semantic activation begins, and the word action arrives. When he proceed, or the reader proceed to activate action to the eye, the word action still activated, and when he arrive or the reader arrive to the V, the word activate is activated in the semantic level, and just when he reached the end or the last part of the word activation is similar to all the phonology that was decoded is activated. So the semantic activation is a continuous process through all the process of the phonological decoding. It's not the end of the process. It begins an earlier process of orthographic phonological decoding, and it continue to the end of the process. So according to this assumption, and for investigating the assumption about the role of semantic contribution to word recognition, this design, which is presented here, was used by different researchers. In this design of experiments, which reported in different studies, the participants trained to learn the meaning of the pseudo words. It was an invented meaning that was matched to the pseudo words. And the participant did not see any written pattern of the pseudo words in any condition before the reading stage. So first, they were trained to learn pseudo words and their invented meaning. And after this process, they were asked to read these pseudo words compared to pseudo words that they did not learn anything about them. So the exposure and the semantic level revealed into the result that in the reading trail, the semantic condition or the semantic exposure, the semantic learning, revealed a higher level of accuracy when the participants were asked to read the word compared to words or to written words that they did not expose to before the reading stage. It's important to mention here that in the training stage, the participant did not see any written pattern. They just learned the semantic of the word. So what about reading in Arabic and how I can use this design to investigate the rule of semantic activation in Arabic? And why it's important? It's important because reading in Arabic is learned in a standard Arabic. I will use the abbreviation SA to mention standard Arabic. Standard Arabic context, which is different from the spoken language we use. We use in the daily life the spoken language, but when we go to school and start to begin to learn reading and writing, we begin to use the standard Arabic, which is different and different levels, in the semantic level and the phonological level, in the morphological level from the spoken vernacular or spoken Arabic. So it will be still interesting for me or for a research in this field to explore its effect of semantic activation in the Arabic language context. That is, does semantic activation or semantic knowledge, improve the ability to read unfamiliar orthographic patterns in Arabic? So does the semantic knowledge or the vocabulary knowledge enhances reading in the first classes or first grades or first years of education? If this is the case, so we need to enrich the vocabulary in the standard Arabic in preschool years. So in the current study, 29 native Arab children in third grade, 15 boys and 14 girls, participated in the study, and all of them were highly skilled readers. The design of the study was as similar as the design I mentioned before. Each participant was tested in reading aloud 3 seed words lists in Arabic that were created or were composed and for the purposes of the current study. List A of the seed word consisted of 30 seed words and was considered the semantic seed word. Why? In this level, or in this condition, the seed words of this list were matched with real meaning, with a real invented meaning that was matched to the seed words. For example, the word jawbel, there is no word jawbel, were matched with meaning of door, for example. Okay, this was in Arabic, but I present this example to explain what's the meaning of invented matching. So each participant learned the meaning of each of these seed words during 8 semantic learning trails. The second condition was the phonological condition, the PP. In this condition, the participant learned to say the seed words. Okay, they hit the seed word and they learn how to say them. They did not see any written form of any seed word. They just heard the seed word. They did not see any written word. Okay. List C also consisted of 30 seed words that were not trained at all. In this condition, the only situation of dealing with these seed words in this list was in the reading trail, and this condition was the control condition. Okay, so we have the semantic condition, the SP, semantic seed words, the phonological condition, the PP, the phonological seed words condition, and the unfamiliar, the UP, the unfamiliar seed words condition. After the training of the list A and list B, list A and semantic level, and list B, the phonological one, conditions, we tested the reading accuracy and speed of these. What we found? We found that the higher levels of accuracy were for the semantic level. After that was the phonological level, and the last one was the unfamiliar level condition. So we should mention here, and we should highlight the something that when we used to train the children or the participant about in the semantic condition, this condition also expose that participant to the phonology of the word, because when we say to the child, say jablon, and he says jablon, and we tell him that jablon meaning a door, so we expose him to the semantics and also to the phonology. So in the semantic level, it's or semantic condition is a condition that mainly training the semantics of the words, but also expose in indirect way to the phonology. While the phonological level is just the phonology. There's no semantic training. We can say jablon, and the participant said jablon. So this training for 8 meetings, in 8 meetings, he all the time repeated the saying of jablon, 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 until he learned the word jablon just by phonology and not semantics. So in the semantic level, the higher accuracy in reading the phonological condition, is the middle one, and the last one was the unfamiliar condition. Also in the speed of reading, the high speed of reading was for the semantic one, after that the phonological one, and the last one the unfamiliar. And this is the means of each condition of reading: semantic, the phonological, and the unfamiliar, and the speed in seconds for the semantic, for the phonological, and for the unfamiliar. So the conclusions. So we found that semantic knowledge plays a main contributor to reading new orthographic patterns. Semantic accelerate reading, and this makes the process of a recognition of the written word, even if this pattern of the written word is not familiar, the recognition will be easier when we know the meaning of the of this word, compared to words that we do not know anything about their meaning. So according to this result, we can say that enhancing verbal and semantic knowledge in standard Arabic and preschool exposure in preschool years would contribute to reading acquisition in first years of school. So this conclusion needs a continued research. So future research may be test this assumption that when we enhance verbal and semantic knowledge in preschool years in Arabic, we supposed to find that the reading acquisition would be easier in the first years of schooling. So what about time course stages in ERB studies and brain studies that are related to semantic training and semantic activation during reading unfamiliar words? It's also would be interesting to explore this thing. Okay, so I would like to thank you, and now I'll wait for your questions. Thank you very much for listening to me.